Hello everyone, and I'm thrilled to welcome you all here at our QA Meta live virtual meetup, yet another meetup where we are going to talk about the way QA Meta itself tests Allure TestOps. So as far as you know, we are doing that a lot and the platform is large, and with Natalia, we'll discuss the tech stack, the whole approach, how our testing is done, and as we strive to build it like as close as possible to the whole stories and blog posts and podcasts and so on as we show the real TestOps flow. So Natalia, I hope you hear me. Could you please describe the team itself, like how does the QA team looks like and how our team actually works with the testing?
Well, our QA team is very, very small, and I can say that it's only one member. But to be honest, it doesn't mean that I do everything myself. I have a lot of helpers. For example, our support managers not only respond to requests, they also write bug reports. They help me to check some bugs and even test some new features before implementation. And of course, the developers of our company help me too. They help me with testing automation. By the way, testing automation is a main top priority in our company. So that's why I'm the only tester. And that's why I don't test everything only manually. I do it with automated tests too, and the most part of my working time I spend to write automated tests.
Okay, so you're speaking of automated tests, and speaking of one QA person in a team, that would it would be really good idea to add how many developers we actually have, and that's actually from 10 to 15, I believe. So that's kind of classical ratio for automated QA teams and developers ratio. So I believe that's kind of on track for us. So what tests do we actually have now, like backend, frontend, or something else? And who else actually writes the tests except you?
Yeah, of course. Of course, I'm not the only person who writes tests. Well, we have different types of tests. We write unit test for backend, we write unit test and component test for frontend, and we write end-to-end test for the entire product. We use different tools. For backend tests, we use JUnit 5. For frontend tests, we use Jest. That's the most popular tools, I think. And for the end-to-end test, we use Playwright. Playwright is a cross-browser tool, so that's why we use it, because the end users of Allure TestOps, they use different browsers, different platforms. So we should be sure that our product is working correctly on all of these platforms. Well, and now we have a lot of tests, unit tests. We have a lot of unit tests, but they cover only some general functionality. Now we need to write more unit tests to cover the rest of features. And it's our aim for the next near future. Well, you can say that writing unit tests is not good for QA because only developers should write unit tests, but I'm not agree with it. I don't agree with it because in my case, together with developers, we merged their developer skills with my testing experience, and we managed to we invented a new way to write tests because our tests are efficient and small. I know what to test, they know how to test. how to test with automation. Yeah, so it's a symbiosis and it's really cool. I think I've answered any question.
Yeah, sounds great, because actually, as I said in the very beginning, the whole point for like building TestOps in a team who ambassadors for TestOps is quite a challenging task, and I am really glad to hear that we are actually working with an approach which looks really like Artem Yeroshenko tells on conferences, or I personally write blog posts, or Michael writes blog posts about how the testing should be done, and we actually try to like implement this one on production and like make it at least kind of working on a startup level. So tell me the truth then. Do you use Allure TestOps in your work while testing Allure TestOps?
Yes, I do, and it maybe sounds funny, but I really use Allure TestOps to test Allure TestOps. We have an integration between our automated tests and cloud instance of Allure TestOps. So we can see all test results in special reports. And to be honest, my normal day starts with checking the dashboards. In Allure TestOps, you can create a dashboard with your own preferences of statistics or metrics and etc. So I created one myself, and now I can see the success rate of my tests and the duration of my tests. I think these statistics are the most important, because if there are some bug, or if there are some problems in my tests, the duration of the test or the success of the test is the most important metric here. Well, we have about 2,300 tests now, and it's not a little number. But Allure TestOps help me to see the full situation, because you can add all of your tests, unit test, component test, end-to-end test, and etc. in one dashboard. And you can see what is your real test coverage of your product, what is the real test coverage of your product. And you can make some decision if you need to analyze the product working.
Yeah, so basically you've got a single dashboard which shows you all the tests, end-to-end tests on Playwright, and on the same page you get the JUnit 5 results and then the Jest results, and it's everything in a single dashboard, right?
Yeah, we have such dashboards, and we have several dashboards for the different, for each type of the test, because it's useful too. You see that your coverage of the entire product with end-to-end tests increased, or other types increasing.
Okay, yeah, so you've actually already started to answer my next question, which sounds like, so we've actually got a kind of a zoo of tools for testing, and so what are the ways to make this diverse testing environment to make it controllable and transparent for the team itself, and maybe for people who want to get some ideas, like a product manager or like a CTO, for example, who doesn't usually dive deep into the testing infrastructure. So what are the ways to make it?
Yes, I said it's possible to see the reports in Allure TestOps, and Allure TestOps is available for each member of our team, for example, so everyone can see what do we test and how do we test it. But I think the main problem in testing is the test execution and test running. So I would like to to say about this part of my work. We run tests with GitHub Actions, and we run end-to-end tests and unit tests and component tests for every build. But unit tests and component tests, if there are some failed tests, they block pull requests. But end-to-end tests, they don't block pull requests because they can be flaky, they can be unstable. So we just add some comments to the pull requests, and developers can see that something went wrong. Okay, is it a bug? Is it a problem, a real problem, or it's just some problem with infrastructure? They can see and they can fix or don't fix if it's not an important problem. By the way, we don't have any problems with tests running, I think, because our tests are small and they don't take a lot of time. All tests are completed in 11 minutes, about 11 minutes now. If you remember, we have 2,300 tests, and we are trying to not exceed this time, even if we decrease the amount of tests. So it's golden time. Well, and as for test durations, the longest end-to-end test lasts for 47 seconds, about 47 seconds. It checks that the user can create a manual test with all possible fields, a big test. And and we decreased, we managed to such time because we decreased end-to-end test duration by using API to generate some data to test, and by limiting the number of scenarios. There are a few tests, end-to-end tests, but we have more component tests because component tests are are faster. Yeah, they are faster. For example, our component tests last about 5 seconds. The largest test lasts only 5 seconds, and we check with component test input validations or some button validations and etc. So we don't spend a lot of time to open browser with end-to-end test. Yeah, to open browser, to start some drivers and etc. We just use component test for all of this stuff.
Yeah, sounds great. And what about unit tests for backend and frontend? About the duration you just...
As for backend unit test, the largest one lasts about 1 minute and a half, I think. But it's a really huge test. It's a really heavy test because it checks file uploading. A lot of files are uploaded into the system. And as for front-end tests, I think I said because component test is about 5 seconds. Last about 5 seconds.
Yeah, so basically there are like 2 tests which go for 2 minutes, and then all the other 2,300 tests run for 9 minutes left. That's kind of crazy, but still, well, that means the most of the tests are quite small and fast, so that sounds great. And in fact, I believe that you actually got the whole idea of how our testing is done, and from now on I'll ask a couple of questions about the team and then the product. So, and the next question is, what is the most used Allure TestOps feature you actually enjoy? Because, like, the platform is large and you may love anything. So what is your like personal pick?
Well, yes, I have one favorite feature. I really like a feature that creates readable test case documentation from your automated test. You just write code, you just add some annotations from Allure framework with steps descriptions, and after running, you have a readable test case in the Allure TestOps. It's really convenient because all members of your team can see what do you do, what do you test, and what your test exactly does. And because every member of your team have some programming skills maybe, or just know some frameworks or languages, programming languages. For example, if you are front-ender, maybe you don't know how to write tests in Java.
But like we got Java and JavaScript, and it's actually the same language, no? Okay. Yeah, so it makes actually sense, because I just wanted to ask, like, you just said that it's also like fast forward and rapid, and everyone develops and writes code in our team actually, and I believe even product owners know actually how to code. And the question was like, why would we need this human readable documentation? Nobody cares about that. And yeah, so if I am a JavaScript developer or tester, like automation engineer, I guess I would struggle to read JUnit 5 or TestNG. So another idea is actually, if you're writing tests in JUnit 5, I'm not sure that it won't take any... I believe it will take a little bit of effort to read the TestNG tests and so on. So like technology is a little bit different all the way. So sometimes you just need a human readable interface for like keeping the track of the features. And to be honest, I just wanted to make a small note for everyone who watches us that the feature Natalia said about is now called live documentation, and we are actually thinking if that makes sense for people who don't know about the Allure TestOps. So if you believe that creating and generating test cases and test documentation from the code actually sounds like live documentation or not, let us know in the comments, or just drop us an email after the event or in a feedback form. So because we are thinking about changing the name to something really more understandable, because sometimes it feels like people don't understand what live documentation means, and they start thinking about the documentation as documentation and not as test documentation. That's actually, I said documentation 5 times in a row, and we'll go further. Thank you, Natalia. And the next one is a little bit different question. What are the annoying part of your job? What would you like build in a different way in Allure, or maybe in the whole QA process of QA Meta?
Well, it's a difficult question. When I became a part of QA Meta software about half a year ago, I already had some experience with Allure TestOps, and it was not really positive, to be honest. I was QA lead, and my colleagues they didn't understand how to create test cases, for example, because there was a special button with log. If you don't click to the log before you write your test case, you won't be able to write anything. So it was a really problem, and there were some little problems too, some more problems. But when I became a part of a team, my company heard me, and we fixed some not good things, some bad things in UX, and that's really cool because I didn't have such attention to UX in other companies. Well, I think that's all.
Yeah, that sounds great, but actually I can appreciate your feedback, because I remember you've provided a lot of like valuable feedback when I asked you to test the blog, and we tried to actually implement the features you've mentioned there. So it's not just the company actually pays a lot of attention to UX, but you are actually making good points when helping UX engineers to make and I can see the comments saying that locker sign was a very good enhancement. So thank you, and maybe we can just go further to talk about your plans for further testing infrastructure development as far as you are like the QA lead at QA Meta Software. I believe you know something that we are gonna make in like the field of testing.
Well, my plans are really big, and company's plans are really big, frankly speaking. First of all, I want to finish all tests for fully automated regression testing. Unit test, as I said, we write now, and we will finish them in the near future. And maybe we will have 4,000 tests or even more. But that's still an open topic now for the development team, and maybe we will write even more tests. Yeah, and the next plans are to find a way to write tests quicker. For example, if we have a feature now, a new feature, we should cover it with test, but how to do it quicker than we do it now, it's a question, and we don't know what to do right now, but we are thinking about it. And maybe we will hire some QA engineer to make our processes faster. And finally, we want to explore new types of tests. I say that we are planning to write API tests. That's true. Maybe we are going to write some tests, some other types of tests, screenshot tests, load testing, and etc. It's an exploring task that we are going to explore.
Yeah, so well, that's actually sounds great, because when I say the zoo of tools, I meant like we've got a lot of like tools that actually which are used for testing, but then there is a whole new world of various testing techniques, and that's great that we are like working on widening that one. So I believe that screenshot testing is kind of a future-proofing one, because I hear about that a lot, and there is more questions asked than answered. And as far as I believe, Allure TestOps actually supports almost all the flows for screenshot testing, so why not use it by now? Thank you everyone for watching us, and thank you, Natalia, for all the details you've provided. Actually, I didn't actually know a lot of what I've heard today, and I thought that I'm like deep into the testing and into the development teams with my expertise, and I hope our audience enjoyed the meetup too. Feel free to ask a question in the chat. As I said, we'll try to answer them, and if we won't be able to do that, just stay tuned, subscribe to our YouTube and ask the question on YouTube, so we will just pick a developer who is responsible for a specific functionality, and we'll just ask him or her to provide the most like interesting answer or like explicit answer. So, and of course, subscribe our YouTube. As I said, the recording of the meetup will soon be there. I believe tomorrow or maybe on Monday, and there are also 3 more meetups. If you've missed them, just don't do that again, because meetups with Miro, Raik, and Alfonso Vasquez are actually exceptional. I love them because they are all different in each case. So sometimes we covered the stories of a startup coming for TestOps, and then we've watched through a team who runs 400 pull requests a day, and then there is a story of people who are building like 200 and maintaining 200,000 tests like a month. So that's all the huge numbers, and I believe that we'll soon come to such numbers with Natalia again. And I see you are saying like thank you again, thank everyone, and see you next time. I'm closing the stream, and I hope you loved it. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.